At the precise geographic center of the Australian continent exists a surprising and relatively unknown secret of enormous geopolitical importance. One of the largest overseas military bases of the United States of America, operated by the Central Intelligence Agency, the National Security Administration, and the National Reconnaissance Office with a full 800 combined personnel. The base is located nearby to the small Australian town of Alice Springs. Population just 26,000 or so people. There is no larger town that exists anywhere nearby to this base, within a zone of about 700,000 square kilometers, roughly equivalent in area to the US state of Texas. From the small Australian town of Alice Springs, if you take a short drive just 10 minutes or so to the southwest, you'll quickly run into various threatening signs like this one warning you to turn your car around and proceed no further, or else face some vague consequences. Just beyond these signs is, of course, the top-secret joint intelligence base of Pine Gap, run by both the American and Australian governments. You've probably never even heard of this place, or knew that such an important American operation existed in the middle of the Australian outback. As the global Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union intensified during the 1960s, both nations began sending up satellites into space. With the launching of the earliest intelligence-gathering satellites, there was a recognition that real-time command and control over these platforms were necessary, and data collection to monitor geopolitical adversaries from afar was required. An American base to operate these American intelligence and spy satellites operating over the planet's eastern hemisphere could have theoretically been constructed anywhere, but the precise geographic center of the Australian continent was chosen for a number of strategically important factors. First, the sheer isolation of such a base deep within the continental interior of Australia, more than 900 kilometers away from the nearest coastline, ensured that any potential spy ships from foreign nations passing around would be incapable of intercepting any of the signals coming down to the base from the satellites. Second, the base would be located deep within Australia, a country who is very friendly and allied towards the United States, and far away from any major Australian population centers around the coasts. And third, and perhaps most importantly, the location where the station would be built required the base of the floor and surrounding hills to not exceed 6 degrees. The ability would be gained to allow for high connectivity with satellites stationed as far as 60 degrees east and as far east as 153 degrees west, effectively covering the entirety of China, North Korea, the Indian subcontinent, and a significant portion of the then Soviet Union. As a result, by late 1966, the American and Australian governments signed a treaty calling for the creation of a US satellite surveillance base in Australia. But there was another, larger intelligence alliance at work here that led to the creation of the base as well. Known as the Five Eyes, this is an intelligence alliance of the 5 major English-speaking democracies around the world of the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Created during the fires of the Second World War and expanded during the Cold War, this alliance structure enables all member states' intelligence agencies to easily cooperate with each other and share all of their worldwide data. Pine Gap continued to play a pivotal role in providing intelligence while dramatically growing in size to the point where, today, it boasts nearly 40 separate antennas across the site and has operated at least 9 geosynchronous satellites owned by various US spy agencies over the past 45 years. Now, what makes these kinds of satellites uniquely well-suited to the mission of intelligence gathering is that they view the exact same portion of the Earth's surface at all times, as if they're sort of fixed in position on the map. This is in stark contrast to satellites that operate in lower Earth orbits. One of the unique advantages of a geosynchronous orbit for a spy satellite is that within this range, it can see an enormous amount of the Earth's surface all at once. In fact, if you were to go and do all the math and run the calculations for this, it turns out to be just a tad bit less than half of the Earth's entire surface. Today, there are 3 of these types of geosynchronous spy satellites known to be operated from Pine Gap. Orion 5 above the western Indian Ocean, Orion 7 at the western tip of the Indonesian island of Sumatra, and Orion 3 just west of the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. And they each collect an incredibly wide range of electronic signals from the Earth's surface beneath them, like radio communications, radar emissions, microwave transmissions, missile telemetry, satellite and cell phone transmissions, and even more. These 3 satellites effectively grant American intelligence agencies, and therefore the intelligence of all the Five Eyes member states, an incredible degree of satellite coverage across every single area of modern U.S. critical strategic concern. The American intelligence capabilities that are granted by satellite sites around the world like Pine Gap are unmatched by any other intelligence agency in the world. And while most of what these satellites do is top secret and highly classified, we all know that launching those satellites, maintaining them up there, and gathering all that data from the surface below is an incredibly difficult feat to accomplish.